is for Hamas to attempt or to drive a wedge between Israel, of course, specifically Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and President Trump. Hamas's goal here, overall goal, is to survive, of course, is to survive the war, but more than anything, it wants to continue to rule the Gaza Strip. It wants to continue to hold its arms and essentially survive the war, all right? And that goes against Israel's goals here. So this, I would say, gesture, all right, by Hamas, I think it's trying, what they're trying to do here more than anything is trying to impress President Trump. All right?
Try to get me the good graces. And of course, Idan Alexander there, the Israeli-American soldier, grew up in the United States. And we're hearing these statements coming in from Hamas about this, talking about the release, saying it's immediately start the intensive negotiation to reach a final deal for the long-term truce, which includes an end to the war. And I think we've talked about it time and time again, not necessarily taking this organization at face value because based on their actions and such. What's the likelihood that they're telling the truth? What's the likelihood that they actually know where Idan is? Is there any possibility that they don't actually know where he is?
Right. I'm really happy that you brought that up because this has happened several times. Hamas has said that these hostages, right, some of the hostages have either been killed in Israeli airstrikes, or they cannot locate them. I believe they actually said this about Idan Alexander just about a month ago. And now it seems, right, Hamas is saying that, oh, he's around now. We have him, and we're going to hand him over to Israel. So it's a little strange, but yes, Hamas, we cannot take them for their word, especially the Trump administration. Time and again, they have said one thing, right? But they've meant something else. So again, I think at the end of the day, what Hamas wants here is to survive the war. But we have to be careful, especially the Trump administration. They have to be careful what Hamas says, what Hamas does. I do think in this case, Hamas does have Idan Alexander. I think in this case as well that they will hand him over if they say they will. However, I would be very cautious if I were the Trump administration, if I was the Israelis, about what happens next. Because again, Hamas is trying to drive this wedge, I think, between the Trump administration and the Israelis with the end goal of surviving the war.
Let's get into that, driving the wedge, dividing the United States and Israel. And I think I ask you basically every time the daylight between the United States policy and the Israeli policy. What would that look like potentially to get Israel and the United States, President Trump and Netanyahu, to not be on the same page?
Right. I think more than anything is that Hamas will convince President Trump that they are flexible, that they're willing to listen to President Trump, and through gestures like we're seeing now, like giving up or releasing Idan Alexander. Also, more than anything, I think what concerns me is, and we've heard reports about this just actually in recent days, is the issue about disarming Hamas. I think if Hamas can convince President Trump or his negotiators that represent the United States that they're not going to disarm, I think that's going to be an end-all for Israel's ambitions to remove Hamas from the Gaza Strip. You cannot remove Hamas from the Gaza Strip without them disarming, and they're not going to disarm willingly. I'll tell you that. So I think what we're seeing now is Hamas's an offensive that Hamas is making, or like a gesture towards the United States. It's not a coincidence that the Hamas is releasing an American, all right, out of all the hostages that they have. So again, President Trump, or rather the U.S. administration, Israel, they have to be very careful here who they're dealing with, because Hamas and their backers know what they're doing.
Yeah, and
the Israelis aren't giving up Palestinian prisoners, all right, or Idan Alexander. So again, this is so Hamas. What they're trying to attempt to do here is show this goodwill gesture here. They're saying, hey, we're not getting anything in return, but we're giving you an American citizen, President Trump. So we are showing you that we can be flexible, all right? Unlike the Israelis, at least this is what Hamas is trying to demonstrate. But I think over the coming days and maybe even the coming hours, we're going to hear more about further ceasefire negotiations. We may hear more about hostages being released and a ceasefire, maybe a temporary one. So this story, of course, is still developing, but I think we're going to hear more in the coming hours or days.
Yeah, very.
Us and its partners or its backers, they watch the news just like us. They saw, I think, what they observed President Trump's reactions. He did credit, President Trump did credit the Houthis for accepting a truce, all right? So I think what Hamas is trying to do is they're trying to capitalize on this, all right? So of course they're going to make this gesture of releasing Idon Alexander and try to get this ceasefire negotiations moving. Because again, right now, at least over the last couple of weeks or the last month or so, the Israeli military has been hitting Hamas pretty hard in the Gaza Strip. And damaging more of its infrastructure, of course, going after key personnel. So Hamas is suffering here. So it's in their interest to end the war, all right? But of course, it's going to be they want it on their terms.